How is it going, everybody? AB Rhombus here. I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in and joining me for Vlog Time Friday this week. First thing I want to cover is the gameplay video this week is kind of crappy. I literally just today upgraded to Windows 10 from Windows 7 because I'm behind the times. And I'm having some issues recording. And I'm going to hopefully get those worked out over the next couple of days so I don't have to deal with this crap again. One of the things is my OBS did not record gameplay audio. I think it's something I may have done. I'm not blaming that on Windows 10. So unfortunately the gameplay video this week is without gameplay audio. And now what you're seeing is some wonderful choppy video. And I don't know where this came from and why this is happening, but it happens for a good solid 10 to 15 seconds. So I apologize for that. It's just for a few seconds and everything goes back to normal. But okay. So the topic I came up with this week, because I didn't have a whole lot of time to come up with one, is I really wanted to talk about board games. One of the things my friends and I really like to do when we are hanging out together is we like to have game nights. We like to have board game nights. And something I've noticed, at least the past 3 years, is how much board games have evolved. And they've evolved like crazy. Think about it for a second. When I say board game to you, what do you think of? I know I think of Scrabble, I think of Monopoly, I think of Trouble, I think of Sorry, I even think of Twister. But now you can go and just search board games at any store and you seriously get a plethora of board games you've never heard of before. And we have found a good bunch of games that we absolutely love playing. Some of them are super popular and others aren't really as popular, and it's just some games that we found online. They sounded like fun and we gave them a shot and they really were awesome. So I kind of want to talk about those games a little bit because, you know, back in the day it was Clue, right? It was Monopoly. But now we're playing games where we're lying to each other. We're playing games where we're playing cards that are curse words, that are vulgar, that it's crazy how far board games have come, how creative people have become when creating these board games, and they're an absolute blast. So I think the first board game that we really like playing, that everybody in our gaming group loves to play, there's no one that really doesn't like playing it, because we play a really laid back version of it. And that game is Telestrations. If you haven't heard of Telestrations, let me tell you a little bit about it. Telestrations is a game where everybody gets a notepad, and it is a dry erase notepad with 8 to 9 pages on it. And what happens is Telestrations is like a drawing version of the telephone game. So if you remember the telephone game, you have a row of kids, row of adults, whatever, just a row of people. The first person whispers a word, or more likely a phrase, into the person next to him's ear. That person passes it down and it keeps passing until the end. And then the person at the end reveals what the phrase has become. Because no one has real perfect memory. As it goes down the line, it changes just a little bit more. Until it ends up being not even close sometimes to what the original phrase was. Telestrations is that way, but with drawing. So everybody gets a word and they draw their word. Then what they do is they pass their drawing down to the next person. And that person on the next page writes down what they think the drawing is. And that goes on for a good, I think, 8 times. And where we have the most fun is just showing what our words become throughout the course of the game. I'm pretty sure you can play with points and whatever, but we don't play with that because it is absolutely insane what these drawings become. And it gets really funny when someone has absolutely no idea what the drawing is, and they just write something absolutely absurd. So that game is an absolute perfect board game, in my opinion, because everybody can play it. It's easy to play, and it's chill as hell. So if that's a game you're looking for, I would definitely go out and look and pick up Telestrations because it is a lot of fun. Another game that's really big in our gaming group that everybody likes to play. Well, not everybody, actually. I would say about a good 80%. And actually, the girls actually don't really like playing it at all. And that game is called Avalon, which is a really nice spin-off of the game called Resistance. Or The Resistance. And this game is less about having props like a board, game pieces, die, and it's more of a verbal acting type of game. So the way this game works is essentially, in really easy terms, good guys against bad guys. So at the start of the game, everybody gets a role. There's some good guys, and there's some bad guys. Nobody on the good side knows who anybody else is except for themselves. So they know they're good, but they don't know who else is good in the game. Then the bad guys actually know who the other bad guys are, so that they can try to scheme and trick the good guys into going on missions. So what happens is there are 5 missions in the game, and various number of players go on that mission. So I can suggest, let's say 5 people to go on a mission. Everybody votes. If the vote passes, those 5 go on the mission. If it doesn't, then those 5 don't. But if it goes, everybody gets a success and a fail. So what will happen is the bad guys can choose whether to fail or succeed the mission. The good guys have to succeed. So what happens is the good guys want to get all passes or succeeds. If they get all passes and succeeds, what will happen is the mission succeeds and it's a win for the good guys. But if it fails, that's when things get tricky because it only takes one fail to fail the mission. So you can see how crazy things get because there's going to be lies going on. Because the good guys are trying to figure out who failed that mission so that they don't take them on another mission. And it gets absolutely insane in Avalon because there's roles in the game. So for example, Merlin is a basic role. Merlin knows who the spies are. And he's trying to feed throughout the game information to his teammates on who the bad guys are. But if he's too obvious and the good guys win, the bad guys get a chance to assassinate him using the assassin. So that's crazy. Those 2 roles are crazy in themselves, right? Because the assassin has to figure out who Merlin is and get ready to kill him at the end of the game. Merlin has to help his teammates out without being too obvious. But let's throw another couple roles into the mix. There's a role called Morgana, and her sole purpose as a spy, as a bad guy, is to pretend to be Merlin. That is insane to me because there's a good guy role who is Percival. And Percival knows who Morgana knows 2 people. They know that one of these 2 people is Morgana, and they know one of these 2 people is Merlin. Their job all game is to try to figure out who is who and trust the correct person to help the good guys win the game. There's a couple more other roles in the game that we use pretty often, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Think about that compared to Monopoly. They are completely different games, and it is a really great example of the evolution of board games and party games. It's just fascinating to me. And we play those 2 games a lot. Those are 2 of our favorite games to play just because everybody likes it. Now, we do have another game that's very popular that we like to play, but my problem with the game is we don't know when to stop playing it and go on to something else, and everybody just gets wore out by the end because we played it too much. And that game is Cards Against Humanity. What more needs to be said about Cards Against Humanity? It is really built off of Apples to Apples, but with very vulgar and adult-themed cards. If you didn't know what it is, you do now. So it's fun, but like I said, I feel like we overplay it and we play it too much, and everybody's essentially ready to go home after. Which really, I don't, it's a little lame to me, but I still enjoy playing the game. Now, the last game that I really like to play that we haven't really played in a while is a classic game. We actually like to mix it in every now and then, and that game is Taboo. If you've never played Taboo, you get a word, okay? So if you're feeding clues to your team, you get a group of cards, and you do one at a time, you get a word. There's a list of words or phrases on that card that you cannot say that describes that word. So not only can you not say the word, you can't say the phrases or words associated with it, so you have to find special ways to explain it so that you don't say those words. If you say those words, you have to go on to the next card. Very basic, very classic game, but it just goes to show how versatile you can get with board games and a board game night. We've tried another game called Munchkin, which is pretty fun, but that one's a little strange. It's just really hard to get in a night. But that's board games. I'm a board game nut. I love playing board games, and I love that my friends love playing board games. If you're a board game fanatic, or you want to become one and start having your own game nights, these are absolutely fantastic starts to your collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little bit different. If you did enjoy the video, please consider clicking the subscribe button below to join the Rhombus Rebellion. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and help people find it. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down and tell me why. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You're the best. Peace.